Shalom, shalom. This is your brother Karath coming at you with this in transit lesson. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Enough respect to you brothers that's laboring in this truth, making your calling and election sure. I may entitle this lesson Cult Deprogramming, because of two reasons. One, because people from the outside looking in, they think that we're a part of a cult. They think that we're involved in some type of cult, man. But this is the purest form of Christianity that we're involved in. Because we're the Christians, man. We're the real Christians. We're the real, genuine followers of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, man. Christianity is just watered down BS, man. And the second reason I want to call this cult deprogramming is because these so-called Christians, man, that never read their Bibles, they're the ones that are involved in the cult. They're the ones that really need the cult deprogramming. Because they've been, tricked by these charismatic. They ain't even really charismatic, man. They just like leaders that are just leading astray simple people, man. Let me read a little bit of this, man. You see, there's a picture here. It says, overcoming the charisma of cult leaders such as Jim Jones is not an easy task. And all of these preachers are really like Jim Jones, man. They're just lower level Jim Jones type guys, man. It says deprogramming is more drastic of the two approaches because it usually involves an initial kidnapping to get the cult member away from the cult. For this reason, deprogramming is very expensive service. It can cost in the tens of thousands of dollars. After the forced removal, deprogramming mostly involves hours and hours of intense debriefing, during which a team of deprogrammers hold the cult member against his will and use ethical psychological techniques to try to counter the unethical psychological techniques used by the cult. The goal is to get the cult member to think for himself and reevaluate his situation. It says debriefing methods can include educating the cult member on thought reform techniques and helping him to recognize those methods in his own cult experience. It says asking questions that encourage the cult member to think in a critical, independent way, helping him to recognize the type of thinking and praising him for it, attempting to produce an emotional connection to his former life by introducing objects from his past and having family members share his memories of his pre-cult existence. It says deprogramming was relatively common in the 1970s, but has fallen out of favor as an acceptable cult removal method, partly because it's so expensive, partly because it involves kidnapping and imprisonment, and partly because that kidnapping and imprisonment led to a lot of lawsuits over the years. Now most families turn to exit counselors. And it says exit counseling leaves out the kidnapping and focuses instead on employing psychological techniques that might get the cult member. So that's what you Christians need, man. You need exit counselors. You need to really get the hell out of that you're involved in, man. We're not the ones that's in the cult. It's really y'all. You need an exit counselor. It says employing psychological techniques that might get the cult members to voluntarily submit to debriefing. It says exit counselors guide the family in the most effective ways to get a cult member to communicate with outsiders. Family members must be non-judgmental, calm, loving, or else they'll only reinforce the belief that all outsiders are bad and dangerous. It says if they succeed, and the cult member agrees to participate in the process, what happens next is essentially the same debriefing that occurs during deprogramming, with long sessions that take place over a number of days, but the cult member is free to leave. It says there is no guarantee that any cult removal technique will work. Some sources say that at least 1/3 of the programming failed, and there are no definitive statistics on the success rate of exit counseling. But when it does work, the cult member finds himself back in the outside world with a whole new set of problems. People who leave a totalist cult can suffer from a laundry list of psychological problems. Some common ones include depression, anxiety, paranoia, guilt, rage, and constant fear. They may have difficulty thinking clearly, making decisions, analyzing situations, and performing everyday activities like picking out something to wear or going to a store to buy groceries. And that's how that stuff gets so deep. It gets so deeply in your mind, man. Then you end up getting yourself all bugged out, man. Because that Christianity is a real cult, man. It says psychologist Michael Langone describes a common post-cult state he calls floating, in which the former member goes back and forth from cult to non-cult ways of viewing the world, stalled in a foggy in-between state of consciousness. Not everybody is psychologically damaged by a cult experience. Some go on with their lives after a relatively short adjustment period, but most people who have undergone thought reform suffer negative consequences when they leave the insulated environment of the cult. It can take years for a former cult member to readjust to life on the outside. Some people never completely return to their pre-cult level of functioning. Yeah, man. These people, man, they dang near need a lobotomy, man, to get up out of that stuff. Because that stuff is deeply rooted in their heads. You know, they dang near need to get a lobotomy, man. Or shock therapy or something. It says, but in most cases, counseling and family support can go a long way toward recovery. For more information on destructive cults and related topics, including links to you know, it's basically saying go to this stuff. But yeah, man, you Christians, man, you need exit. What do they call it? They call it exit counselors. That's funny, man. Yeah, y'all need that, man, because y'all are completely bugged out, man. But let me grab a few scripts here, man, because this is in the scriptures, this is the real cult, man, in the scriptures. Let me go here real quick. This is Acts 15. It says, and certain men, so this is an example of a real cult. They were basically going on their own, doing their own thing. This is Acts 15. It says, and certain men which came down from Judea taught the brethren and said, except ye be circumcised after the manner of Moses, ye cannot be saved. So they was basically teaching this. And then basically the word got out to Paul and Barnabas. And it says, when therefore Paul and Barnabas had no small dissension and disputation with them. So they basically vehemently disputed with them, man. They was like, man, you going off. So they had dissension and a disputation with them. And they determined that Paul and Barnabas and certain other of them should go up to Jerusalem unto the apostles and elders about this question. So there was a dispute, man, because these brothers was teaching something outside of what was being taught. And it says, and being brought their way by the church, they passed through Phoenicia and Samaria, declaring the conversion of the Gentiles, and they caused great joy to all the brethren. And it says, and when they were come to Jerusalem, they were received of the church and the apostles and elders, and they declared all things that Yahweh had done with them. And it says, and there rose up certain of the sect of the Pharisees. So what they were doing was, they were essentially doing exit counseling for these people, man, getting them up out of that mindset that these brothers was putting them in. And it says, it rose up certain of the sect of the Pharisees, which believed, saying that it was needful to circumcise them and to command them to keep the law of Moses. And the apostles and elders came together for to consider of this matter. And when there had been much disputing, Peter rose up and said unto them, men and brethren, ye know how that a good while ago Yahweh made choice among us that the Gentiles by my mouth should hear the word of the gospel and believe. And Yahweh, which knoweth the hearts, bear them witness, giving them the Holy Spirit, Holy Ghost, even as he did unto us, and put no difference between us and them, purifying their hearts by faith. Now therefore, why tempt ye Yahweh to put a yoke upon the necks of the disciples, which neither our fathers nor we were able to bear? So there's basically like, yo, y'all putting these yokes on people, man, telling them they need to do this, need to do that. Let's just help them do this. Like, let's just lead them into this thing, you know what I'm saying? And we can build them up more later, man, because y'all putting these heavy yokes on people. And y'all teaching this stuff, man, and this stuff is like warping their minds. And it says, but we believe that through the grace of the Lord, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, we shall be saved, even as they. Then all the multitude kept silence and gave audience to Barnabas and Paul, declaring what miracles and wonders Yahweh had wrought among the Gentiles by them. And it says, and after they had held their peace, James answered, saying, men and brethren, hearken unto me. Simeon hath declared how Yahweh hath first did visit the Gentiles to take out of them a people for his name. And to this agree the words of the prophets, as it is written, after this I will return, and I will build again the tabernacle of David, which is fallen down, and I will build again the ruins thereof, and I will set it up. So they was basically trying to convince these people, man, you know what I'm saying, to believe in this manner. You know what I mean? They were trying to make these people that were convinced, you know, on a certain ideology and a certain way of thinking. They were trying to flip their minds, man. Like, hey, you got to see it this way, man. This is the purest way, you know. And it says that it says verse 18, known unto Yahweh are all his works from the beginning of the world. Wherefore my sentence is that we trouble not them which from among the Gentiles are turned to Yahweh, but that we write unto them that they abstain from pollutions. So instead of telling them, putting them yokes on people like they do in Christianity, like, you know, Christianity, instead of like really putting yokes on people, they corrupt their minds, man, with false doctrines. You know what I mean? And it says here in verse 20, it says, but that we write unto them that they abstain from pollutions and of idols and from fornication and from things strangled and from blood. So it's basically like, give them this information to go on. You know, give them this information. This is good information to go on. Don't lay any heavy burdens on them, and don't corrupt their minds with false stuff. In verse 21, it says, for Moses of old time hath in every city them that preach him, being read in the synagogues every Sabbath day. Then pleased it the apostles and elders with the whole church to send chosen men of their own company to Antioch with Paul and Barnabas, namely Judas, surnamed Barsabbas, and Silas, chief men among the brethren. And they wrote letters by them after this manner. So they were basically going out and helping those people, man. You know, that exit counseling. And they wrote letters of them after this manner. The apostles and elders and brethren send greetings unto the brethren which are of the Gentiles in Antioch and Syria and Cilicia. For so much as we have heard that certain, certain which went out from us have troubled you with words. So that's what these preachers are doing. Certain people are going out and they have troubled you with words, giving you false information, man. Subverting your souls, saying ye must be circumcised and keep the law, to whom we gave no such commandment. So they going off, telling you crazy stuff in the church, saying you don't got to keep the law, saying you could just believe on the Lord and you could say, Lord, forgive me at the last minute. Not teaching that there's a grace period, not breaking down the grace period and what it's all about. You know, there's a time for repentance, and then the Lord closes off that time, and then it's judgment time. They teaching you all this madness, not teaching you the name. They're troubling you with words, man, and they're subverting your souls. Verse 25, it seemed good unto us, being assembled with one accord, to send chosen men unto you with our beloved Barnabas and Paul, men that have hazarded their lives for the name of the Lord Yahweh Shai Mashiach. It says, we have sent therefore Judas and Silas, who shall also tell you the same things by mouth. For it seemed good to the Holy Ghost and to us to lay upon you no greater burden than these necessary things. So we're saying, they're not saying that that's wrong, but they're just basically saying we're not laying on any heavier burdens, you know, then it is necessary. These necessary things, that ye abstain from meats offered to idols, and from blood, and from things strangled, and from fornication, from which if ye keep yourselves, ye shall do well. Fare ye well. So it was basically giving them milk, man. Here's some milk. Go off of this milk, and then we'll build you up more. You know what I'm saying? But we're not gonna lay heavy things on you and say and teach you things that are way off. You know what I mean? Verse 30. So when they were dismissed, they came to Antioch, and when they had gathered the multitude together, they delivered the epistle, which when they had read, they rejoiced for the consolation. And that's what our people do, man. When we out there teaching, the ones that are meant to receive it, they rejoice for the consolation, because they understand, they receive this information that we're delivering to them, and they understand, you know, because the Most High had opened their minds to this information, man, and they're receiving consolation from it. It says, and Judas and Silas, being prophets, also themselves exhorted the brethren with many words, and confirmed them. And after they had tarried there a space, they were let go to in peace from the brethren unto the apostles. Notwithstanding, it pleased Silas to abide there still. Paul also and Barnabas continued in Antioch, teaching and preaching the word of the Lord with many others also. So that was pretty much the point on that, man. You know, that was the real cult. It was, you know, they were starting a little cult thing, and we're trying to subvert people's souls, man. You know, and lead people away and trouble them with the words. But as it applies to us being called in a cult, we're in good company, man. We're in good company if they say we're in a cult. Because let me go here. This is Acts 24. Salaki, this is a little in transit joint. I'm gonna start at the top. Probably gonna read down to verse 5. It says, and after 5 days, Ananias the high priest descended with the elders, and with a certain orator named Tertullus, who informed the governor against Paul. So they were coming against Paul, man. And it says, and when he was called forth, Tertullus began to accuse him, saying, seeing that by thee we enjoy great quietness, and that very worthy deeds are done unto this nation by thy providence, we accept it always and in all places, most noble Felix, with all thankfulness. It says, verse 4, notwithstanding that I be not further tedious unto thee, I pray thee that thou wouldest hear us of thy clemency a few words. Verse 5, for we have found this man, so they're speaking against Paul, it said he's a pestilent fellow, so he's causing problems, man. It says, and a mover of sedition among all the Jews throughout the world, and a ringleader of the sect of Nazarenes. So they called him a ringleader of the sect of Nazarenes. So if they're saying that we're in a cult, we're in good company, you know, because we were. That's what they called the apostles, man. They called them in a cult. It's like a body of men following their own tenets, man, and that's what they perceive us as being. But we're not doing that, man. We're actually following the scriptures in its purest form, which can be perceived to the untrained spiritual eye as men following their own tenets, man. This is let me jump down to 14. It says, but this I confess unto thee, that after the way which they call heresy, this is Paul speaking. He said, after the way which they call heresy, and you know, heresy is when you go against the commonly held beliefs of the time. And what they call heresy, it says, so worship I the power of my fathers, believing all things which are written in the law and the prophets. And that's what we do. We believe in all things that were written in the law and the prophets, man. But Christians don't. They're really the real sect. They're really the real people that are following, that need cult deprogramming, man. Let me jump here real quick. This is Acts 17 and 18. This is Acts 17 and 18. It says, then certain philosophers of the Epicureans and the Stoics. Let me read up, man. I'm gonna go to Acts 17 and 16. It says, now while Paul waited for them at Athens, his spirit was stirred in him when he saw the city wholly given to idolatry. Therefore disputed. And that's what we see. And our spirit is stirred. Most High stirred up the spirit in us. He roused up our spirit. You know what I'm saying? And we were, what do you call it? basically, the Most High, he put he breathed the breath of life on us, man, and we've been revived with this new with the spirit of the Most High, man, our spirit is stirred up, man, and we see that everybody's giving into idolatry because these people, they're believing this is not Christian. This is not the real Christianity, man. These people are involved in idolatry, and they're following the precepts of men, man. And it says, he was stirred in him when he saw the city wholly given to idolatry. Therefore disputed he in the synagogue with the Jews and with the devout persons, and in the market daily with them that met with him. And that's what we do, man. When these Christians come up to the camp, and when they come and they try to dispute with us, they defeated everywhere in the scriptures, everywhere they turn. But we're earnestly contending for the faith, and we're disputing, and we're stomping them in the scriptures, man. Verse 18, then certain philosophers of the Epicureans and of the Stoics encountered him, and some said, what will this babbler say? Others, some, he seemed to be a setter forth of strange gods. And that's what they say with us, man. That's what, because usually when you're in a sect, you're in a small little cult, you seem like a setter forth of a strange god. And it says, because he preached unto them Yahweh Shai and the resurrection. So we that's what we are like, to them. We're like a setter forth of strange gods, man. And it's like we're preaching something strange. And from there I want to go to Luke. This is Luke 23 and 2. It says, and they began to accuse him, saying, we found this fellow perverting the nation and forbidding to give tribute to Caesar, saying that he himself is Hamashiach, a king. So once again, we're in good company, man, because they spoke bad about Lord Yahushua, man. They said that he's a fellow perverting the nation. The same thing they say about us, man. We're perverting people's mind, man, and we're being subversive. We're a completely different group, and we're preaching something strange, and we're perverting the nation. And it says that forbidding to give tribute to Caesar is saying that he himself is a Mashiach, a king. And they demonize us too, man. They put us on the media most recently, and they put the Lord's name, Yahweh Shai, up. And it makes you think, why would they do that, man? If we're not anything, why are you even trying to put us on the news and demonize us? But that's another topic. And I'm gonna jump down to verse 5. It says, and they were the more fierce, saying, he stirreth up the people, teaching throughout all Jewry, beginning from Galilee to this place. So they, he's like he's causing a sedition. They're saying, man, he's stirring up the people, and that's what we're doing, man. We preach and we stir up the people, but we're in good company because Lord Yahushua did that. So if they're saying that he was part of a sect, then that's, we're in good company, But the Christians are the ones that need the cult deprogramming. Verse 5, Salakia, verse 14. Let me jump down to 14. It says, they said unto them, ye have brought this man unto me as one that perverteth the people. And behold, I having examined him before you, have found no fault in this man touching those things wherefore ye accuse him. So he's, and that's what they find no fault in us, man. We not perverting the people. We actually just speaking the truth. They saying that we're this and we're that. We're a hate group. No, we're not. We're not a hate group. We're a truth-based group, man. We bring out the truth, and if it rubs you the wrong way, then you want to call us. Then you want to say we're in a cult. Then that's on you, man. We're bringing out the scriptures in its, and we're making in its purest form. We're bringing out the scriptures, and the scriptures are being put forth in its purest form. If that's making you upset, then that's on you, man. You got to take that up with the Most High. This is Acts 5 and 28. It reads, saying, let me read up to 27. It says, and when they had brought them, they set them before the council, and the high priest asked them, saying, did not we straitly command you that ye should not teach in this name? And behold, ye have filled Jerusalem with your doctrine, and intended to bring this man's blood upon us. You know, so it's basically, you know, they were saying, you know, we told you not to teach in that name, and that's how they feel about us, man. Y'all out there teaching in the name of Yahweh Shai and Yahweh. You know, they don't want us teaching in that name because to them that symbolizes a cult. You know, but that's the name of the Heavenly Father, man, and it's His only begotten Son, and we're gonna teach in those names because there's no other names whereby men should be saved. Verse 40, and to him they agreed, and when they had called the apostles and beaten them, they commanded that they should not speak in the name of Yahweh Shai and let them go. You know, and this stuff is this is funny, man, because this is their inward thoughts, man. They don't like, especially Christians, man. They look at us and they like, man, because they think like, no, not my Jesus. Y'all better call it the name of Jesus. That's the only name, you know. The name of Yahweh Shai, you know, that's against the establishment is completely against that, man. Teaching in that name, man, because that's counter. That's outside of what's commonly believed, man. That's outside of that, the establishment, the religious establishment, man. You know, so basically they really need the cult deprogramming, man. Cult deprogramming is needed for Christians. You know, they need what's the other word they used in here, man? Exit counseling. You know, they need exit counseling, they need cult deprogramming, they need a host of other things, man. And you know, that's pretty much all I wanted to pull, man. I kind of wanted to make it a quick one, but it went on longer than I anticipated. It's it's an in transit lesson. Lord willing, brothers was edified by it. Salakia if it may have been a little not put together quite neatly, but I'm pretty sure there's something that could be received through the Spirit. And with that, I want to say shalom.